So finally, we've been working on finishing up what we were working on earlier, and it led us all the way back to the one that we keep coming back to just to check on. So we did a brand new mix of another song. So this is a song that it's been around for quite a while, and it was just recorded very recently, and it was finished really quickly. I've done videos of this song in the past month, so anybody who's watched might be familiar with this one. That I was doing a reference mix a few weeks ago to send to the guitarist that played on the track earlier, and I played a bit of Shadow Band. I've since mastered it. I only had to go and fix a little tiny thing in the mix as I demonstrated in the previous video. So this one's done. After I completed that, I noticed when listening back to most of the album for quality control in the studio, I noticed that this song, there was a bit of unwanted noise in there, and the bass level wasn't quite comfortable. So I went in and fixed it, and then we just mastered it earlier. Now we're just going to reference the masters. So I'm just going to play it. It's been played before. I'm going to show you a little bit of some of the stuff we had to do to get it to the desired level for consumption. So I'm going to press play here. Bass frequency here. You can hardly hear it, it's fairly cloudy. Now when I bring in, the low mid bass, punches it up a bit. Hear the punch up. Then I bring the mids in. And then when I go to the guitar solo, I'm just going to pop the mids on right now. You hear that? And then I'll bring in the whole mix. I'll do it again. And this time I'm going to do the opposite. I'll bring in each frequency. Too high. Too wide. Just the whole thing. Now I'm gonna check the DS, the really high frequency here. Just gonna listen to this, see if it's correct. Try the other. This is another style. This is the one we were just doing. This is more plaintive. We're gonna go with this. So I went with that one in the final master, and we were mastering in a slightly different session. This is just a reference of masters and mixes that I take a look at. And as you can see here, we're gonna look at some of the final mixes for the album. This is the one we were just listening to. You can see that I got the wave down to a very desirable area. If you noticed a couple of weeks ago what it looked like and what it sounded like, it was different. And then Shadow Band, the one we did earlier, the one I demonstrated in the earlier video, is a pretty balanced waveform. I had to do a little bit of, stereo imaging on the right side a bit. This is not the mastered version, this is the final mix. So when I mastered it, I did some stereo imaging on that one. Anyways, this is Geek Talk. This is the song that took the longest for me to mix, that I just finished up a few days ago. And it required just a bit of spatial stereo imaging as well. This is another one. So the stereo imaging wasn't really needed on this one. I noticed that stereo imaging was needed more on the last few I was working on. They were different kind of mixes, definitely. And this one was another one, and this will possibly be the first single off the album. And it required a little bit of going back in and doing stuff. And the ones that were done, the other songs, they were all done like about a week and a half ago, and they required a different kind of mastering because they were different mixes. And altogether, the album is finished now. So now all the songs are in iTunes, and they're in a file called Reminders Final Master, and this is the album that's going out to all the digital outlets and printed to CD and everything right now, is what we're going to do. So that is the next step. We've listened to everything. We're going to give a listen to the final two that we worked on today before we send them off. And that's a wrap. That's a few hours in the studio doing that kind of work, and we're basically done. And now it's time to distribute the new album, which will come out July 1st, 2019, which is in a few